We know people have busy schedules, so we just appreciate you taking some time out of your day to learn more about our accounting certificates here at York and the CPA designation. For the agenda today, I will briefly share some information about our accounting certificates, but most of our time will be spent talking about the CPA designation. At the end of the presentation, I will explain a little about the registration process at York, and then we'll obviously open up for questions and answers. So just some quick introductions of who's on this presentation today. So my name is Todd Rich, and I'm a program manager here at York. I'm actually very new to the role. I've only been on, this is my second week, so I will do my best to answer any questions that might be related to our programs. If not, Lena Peroni is also on the presentation, and she's obviously very familiar with the accounting program, and she will jump in where needed. And you heard briefly from Sean, who works for CPA, and he will speak mostly on this webinar today, and he'll introduce himself later on. So I thought the first thing we would do is just have a quick look at the various pathways York offers to help you become an accounting professional and ultimately a CPA. I'll go into more detail on the accounting programs in a moment, but I thought it was important for you to see how everything fit together at a very high level. So earning your CPA is a process, and it all starts with you taking courses in accounting to build your knowledge and skills in the profession and meet the CPA requirements. The first pathway is our 8-course postgraduate certificate in accounting. This is the first educational step for people with no prior accounting experience. The second pathway builds on the foundation program, and in this one you'll also take 8 courses in advanced accounting and strategic management. The third pathway shows the components that are needed after you complete your educational requirements, and Sean will go into much more detail about this in a moment. So now let's have a closer look at our 2 accounting programs. We'll first look at the postgraduate certificate in accounting. This program is designed for college or university graduates who do not have an accounting background. Some past students have been in entry-level to mid-level career roles who are looking to advance their careers, while others are transitioning into accounting roles or looking to break into the field. We offer 2 program start dates, the fall and winter, and the program can be completed full-time or part-time online. You choose which program works best for you and your preferred method of learning. Both options are cohort formats, which means you start and end a pre-scheduled program with the same peers. The benefit of this is building a network of peers, guaranteed course offerings, and you register once for the entire program and you're all set. Now let's look at the postgraduate certificate in advanced professional accounting. This program was designed for people who also have a college diploma or a university degree, but in this case, you must have some previous accounting experience. This program covers advanced and managerial competencies, as I just mentioned before. To meet the submission requirement, you have to have some previous accounting knowledge, and you can get this from completing our postgraduate certificate in accounting, or if you've previously completed 4 equivalent courses in Intro to Financial Accounting, Introduction to Managerial Accounting, Statistics, and Economics. At this time, the advanced certificate is only offered in the full-time option, but we plan to develop a part-time option starting in the fall of 2018. Both of the certificates we offer are accelerated, so you can graduate sooner than traditional programs. So our courses are shorter, but they're equivalent to what you would find in degree programs with the same rigor and assessment criteria, with the added practical components to optimize your learning. The full-time programs can be completed in approximately 10 months, and the part-time online programs in approximately 17 months. I'll now turn it over to Sean, who will share more about the designation.
Okay, thanks, Todd. We're just going to get our slides loaded up here. So I'm really happy to be talking to you about the profession today. And so I just really want to kind of highlight some of the things that are going on in the industry. Really want to focus on what CPAs are doing, out in the business world, and what kind of pathways exist for you, and what kind of doors does this really unlock for you as a professional. We're going to go back to this slide a little later on at the end of the presentation. So my name is Sean Mullin. I've been with CPA now for about 3 or 4 months, and my journey has been an interesting one. I come from an education background. I'm actually a teacher, so I'm not a CPA, but as I've been really learning about the designation, it's become really surprising and impressive to me just how far-reaching CPAs are in all aspects of business. And I just want to start out, with a sort of an anecdote. So my previous role, I was working for a recruiting agency that recruited teachers to teach overseas, and it was a small company, but it was growing really, really quickly because we had gotten some big contracts from partners overseas. Our only accounting person was a very old, an older woman who wasn't designated in any way, and she kind of worked part-time doing some payroll, things like that. As the company started to grow, I remember a new employee started 2 summers ago named Wendy. Very, very young, very, very nice person, and she was going to be doing accounting type finance roles. Didn't really know what that meant. I was completely unfamiliar with the CPA designation at the time. Our office was a really cool space. They had one of those boardrooms that was all glassed in and everyone could see it. It's a very open concept. And as the company was going through some big changes, I knew on the schedule that from the boardroom, we would have the president, all the directors, and the VP would be in there for a whole strategic week, thinking about where the business was going to go, and new initiatives and things like that. And I remember being surprised seeing this new girl who was in all of these meetings, and I kind of felt a bit envious, going, "What is she doing in there? She's not a director. She's not a VP. I don't really understand what the role is." And me and my curiosity and being nosy, I noticed throughout the week that she wasn't just sitting in the room, she was leading these conversations. She was making presentations. And I was asking some of my teammates, like, what is Wendy doing there making all those presentations? And they said, no, she's a CPA. And that really kind of sparked my curiosity and really started the journey of transforming understanding as CPAs aren't people that are just accountants crunching numbers, but they're people that are taking those numbers and really becoming business leaders, trusted advisors, financial experts, and strategic thinkers. So this young girl came in with her CPA designation and training and was able to use her financial skills and accounting skills to capture what the business was doing, but to really recommend really well-informed changes in direction that the business should be investing in. So that's something that I really want, hope that theme resonates today, that our CPAs really are trusted collaborative leaders, renowned with their financial expertise and the fortitude to face challenges. So the CPA designation, we are the largest professional accounting designation in Canada. We have over 200,000 members. That's actually more than all the doctors and lawyers combined. And you might be surprised to know that 75% of CFOs, Chief Financial Officers in Canada, are CPAs. And we really do expect that number to rise. So for those of you who have been kind of wrestling with, well, I want to have, some experience, in finance and sometimes strategy and leadership governance, all that stuff really is encompassed within your CPA designation. So those CFOs, again, they're taking their financial expertise, of course, but they're using those, enabling competencies or those leadership and decision-making skills to be in the boardroom and say, look, here are the numbers, here's the analysis, these are the trends, these are where we need to be going. So our CPAs really are in the top echelons of business and really in every aspect of the business world. CPA Ontario, who we represent, so CPA is a designation. CPA Ontario is going to be your membership body and your education provider. We have 19,000 students and 87,000 members, representing about 45% of all the CPAs in Canada. And why that's relevant for you is that, the CPA membership community really is a culture of volunteerism. And so as you go through the CPA program, you're going to have the access to the largest pool of mentors and support and networking as you move forward in the CPA program. For one of the reasons I chose teaching as a designation is I love to travel. I spent 7 years in Asia, going through a number of different countries. And so if you've ever thought about taking your designation as your passport for travel, over 12,000 of our members are currently working internationally. And that's due to CPA being really well recognized as a designation around the world. So we have reciprocity agreements with 7 countries. And in terms of salary, the average salary for CPAs internationally is around $284,000 a year. So that's pretty substantial, and not to mention you're getting that great international experience. If traveling and working in the US is something you're interested in, the latest numbers there are around $360,000 a year as a salary. For those of you who are staying domestic, here is a brief slide that sort of captures as a 2015 poll of all our CPA membership to capture what roles and salaries they're in. So for those who again are in those upper echelons of business, or kind of mid-tier in the consultant treasury role, this gives you kind of an idea where your salaries are at, and again what kind of return on investment, because it is an investment, of course, on your time and on your financials to go through the CPA designation, but there really is some great rewards that are coming with you at the end of the journey. I just want to pause and remember, if you have questions during this time, let's save them all for the end. We're going to go through all the questions with everyone. So most of the time you'll find that the slides are kind of self-fulfilling and they move concurrently, so your questions might even be answered. So just kind of jot notes, but then stick with us. We'll ask those questions at the end. So because you are so versatile as a professional, CPAs really are everywhere in every kind of workplace and industry. So we, of course, have the big 4 firms and public practice accounting firms where there's a more traditional route that people take. But you might be surprised to know that only 18% of CPAs actually work in public practice. So the rest of them are where? Well, they're over 50% work in various industries. We have some in the public and non-for-profit sector. We have entrepreneurs, and these are some examples I'll highlight for you in a moment. And so, why this is relevant, of course, if you have a particular interest, if you're someone that's really interested in sustainability or in entertainment or any kind of industry, your CPA designation really is going to be that platform that's going to spring you into that organization. We have some examples of companies here around the world where CPAs are in the executive levels of that organization. And again, so if you have particular interest, if there's a particular company that you maybe already currently working for, chances are that CPA experience can be translated. So let's meet the CPAs. I want to first introduce Tomas. Tomas started off on the traditional accounting route. He was a senior associate with PricewaterhouseCoopers. And then on a business trip to Japan in 2011, he was having some custom suits made and realized that there's really an opportunity for sort of a mid-tier price range custom clothing in men's fashion within Canada. So he started the made clothing. If any of you have ever watched the show Dragon's Den, he pitched his idea in Dragon's Den, was successful. Again, using that CPA under a business acumen to propose a financially stable business plan with this made clothing organization. He made over 1 million sales in his first year. He dresses some of the Raptors, Amir Johnson and tennis star Milos Raonic, as well as his buddy Drake gets his suits from him. So again, not a traditional path of an accountant that I would have perceived, but I want to just reiterate this sense that you can do so much with your CPA with the knowledge and skills that it gives you. Joe Resnick here, he was someone that's very passionate about sports and being a sports agent. So he's capitalized on the need for pro athletes in Canada who have to negotiate their contracts with their teams with a very different tax structure than they have in the United States. So, players sometimes can be reluctant to come to Canada because their salaries are taxed higher. How does that play into negotiations with different organizations? Joe saw that need. He took it upon himself to launch this career and his company in top shelf sports management. Hockey players like Rick Nash, for example, was one of his first big contracts, and he's really well known in the sports agency world. If you're someone that is interested in taking their CPA to do more public service and good, we have Lieutenant Colonel Ellie Hevens, who's done a number of tours in Afghanistan. She works with she's worked in the financial, not reporting, but the financial area within U.S. Sorry, not U.S. Defense, Canadian Department of Defense. My apologies. Obviously, if you're familiar with the politics and defense spending is a real issue, our equipment and things are real out of date. She makes a difference in putting those business cases together to make sure that the spending goes to the right place. I want to speak to you about Victoria here. So Victoria is the controller for the Children's Hospital for Sick Children in Toronto, world-renowned hospital for sick children. And that she really bugs doctors because she's not up in her office and she's always down talking to patients. She's the one that decides, where is the money being spent? How is it being spent, right? And are we making sure that we're making the right difference with patient care and that families and communities are really feeling that welcome experience at Sick Kids? So she is someone that is always out there on the ground, navigating change, bringing good, and using her CPA designation for the betterment of patients. Adrian Joseph, he's an internationally educated professional. He comes from Sri Lanka, and he got a CPA designation, and he's used his passion for environmentalism and sustainability to actually carve out a niche for steam whistle brewery. So if anyone has enjoyed steam whistle beers as much as I have, you know that they have a unique green bottle. So he was able to crunch those numbers and really propose to his board how using a sustainably produced product can actually help them set themselves apart as a business from their competitors and be more profitable. So again, using that CPA designation and the training and the technical and enabling competencies has really helped Adrian be successful. If you're someone looking for a more traditional route, absolutely, our CPAs are doing those things. Ryan Corvette, he started as a junior associate and moved his way up at PricewaterhouseCoopers, and so he's enjoyed a career in senior leadership at that big firm. Julia Nugent, she started at Microsoft, and she has moved up very quickly to a senior manager of finance. She led an initiative that took one of the world's leading software and solutions companies to reduce their operating costs by 19%. That is huge. So obviously she could not have done that without her CPA designation, and she's really contributed to Microsoft's business profitability going forward. Tina Wang, she's a senior accountant with Mars Discovery District. They work with new businesses and new entrepreneurs looking to get funding from the Ontario government, and so she works to do that kind of analysis there. So what the takeaway here, as I hope you're getting, is that CPAs really do all kinds of things. And if you are looking to be involved in any aspect of business, entrepreneur, private, public sector, the CPA designation really is for you. All right, how do we get there? So Todd touched on some of the mapping. So some of this may be a little bit redundant, but I'll give you the CPA perspective, and we'll talk specifically about the course codes for prerequisites in a minute. Again, you can take your CPA designation anytime in your career. You can do it while you're earning your degree, directly after graduation, and of course, if you're already in the workforce to help advance your career. Your path to the CPA, this is your map. So the most important thing that we want you to pay attention to is this big blue box of the 14 prerequisite courses. So working backwards, to become a CPA, you'll have to have completed the CPA PEP, which is the Professional Education Program. You'll have to pass our Common Final Exam, the CFE, and you'll have to do 30 months of practical experience. All of that I'll talk to in a minute. To start the PEP program, you need to have a degree in any subject and these 14 prerequisite courses. So I just want to emphasize, for those of you who didn't take a degree in accounting or commerce, maybe you have a degree in science and engineering, that's absolutely fine. We really do welcome all kinds of perspectives into the CPA designation, and you'd be surprised to know that there are large portion of CPAs who did not come from accounting background. So you can have a degree from any country in any field as long as it's a bachelor's degree at the university level. And then in addition, you can take these 14 prerequisite courses. In some cases, if you have a degree in finance or a course in accounting, chances are these 14 preparatory courses will be included in your bachelor's degree. So for the 14 prerequisite courses, you only need to take the courses that you need to complete to order the CPA PEP. So if you took a finance, for example, chances are you did corporate finance, economic statistics, things like that. So you'd really only need to fill in the gaps plus your degree to go into CPA PEP. So there can be part-time and combination, and again, Todd touched on the pathways specifically through your concurrent ed and how you can take them. You have some options in class and online, which is fantastic. And then for entry, if you're looking at what was required for entry into their pathways, we'll obviously let you talk to Todd and Lena and her team. So all of the preparatory courses are broken down into two components. There are your prerequisite courses and the courses not requiring prerequisites. So what that essentially just means is if you're taking this through the CPA pathway, you'd have to take the prerequisites first before the ones not requiring prerequisites. And I'll just pause right here to show what that map looks like. So if you're looking for information via CPA, you can see here at CPA Ontario, becoming a CPA, why, and the prerequisites, it lists all of the mapping for all of the post-secondary institutions. So we're talking about York University continuing education here, and you can see that all of the prerequisite courses that I just mentioned, corporate finance, taxation, information technology, we've given you the exact course codes that you need to take here at your concurrent continuing education in order to meet those prerequisite requirements. So those are mapped both on the York website. You can talk to Lena and Todd anytime and they'll be able to help you out with that. Of course, if you're chatting with me, you can find this information as well on CPA Ontario. So if you've taken some of these courses or you've taken something similar through a degree in finance and you're not sure, here's what you need to know to make that up. So I want to point out though, for these non-core courses, you need a minimum grade level of 50%. And for the core courses, you need a minimum of 60% with an overall average with these 14 of 65%. You'll need that for entry into PEP. If you want to take a screenshot of that so you know where that mapping is, go ahead. I'll leave it up for about 5 seconds here. Oh, it's on the website as well. Todd's reminding me. Okay, great. So Todd will point you to that direction. So let's get back to the presentation. Okay. So once you've taken those prerequisite courses and you have your degree, you are ready for entrance into the CPA Professional Education Program. This is the part of your journey that takes you from an ordinary citizen into an accountant. So we will turn you into accountant by way of our core modules, our elective modules, our capstone 1 and 2, the common final exam, as well as your practical experience. So what the core section is this is where you're going to touch on all of the 6 technical competencies, and you're going to get a little bit good at everything. And then once you head into the electives portion, this is where you're going to choose what you want to be great at. A lot of confusion comes around those who are thinking about the public accounting option. This is really for those, it's a very, very rare pathway if you're going to be someone in business that wants to sign off on financial statements. Again, a lot of people go into this program thinking, oh my goodness, I'm limiting my options. I need to keep all the options open. This is really only applicable to about 3 to 4% of students. So if you have questions about this specifically as a pathway, then you and I should have a book some office hours time to go through that. But I don't want to confuse you. I think that the vast majority, 95%, go this way. All of the CPAs that we talked about and showcased, all of the areas in business, they're the ones that went with these elective modules in assurance, performance management, tax, and finance. From there, we're going to go into our capstone, and this is where you're going to take your technical skills and you're really going to put them to the test in simulated case studies. You're going to work in groups. You're going to really work with different scenarios, and you're going to be putting into place our enabling competencies, which I'll talk about in just a minute. So this entire journey takes about 2 years part-time, and the reason why it takes 2 years part-time is that during this you hopefully are working full-time as part of your practical experience component. Most students find that when you're learning something in the classroom and able to translate it the next day to your own work experience, it really helps to internalize those concepts. So again, it's not required, and I'll explain it later on, that you do your practical experience during that time. Some people wait until after they do their final exam. That's fine. You have 6 years to do your work experience after the common final exam. But for most people, the ideal scenario is to find your time working here, building up your experience while you're taking these courses part-time in the evening. Now, there is a way to leapfrog all of that, and that is if you have your degree and your prerequisites and you're taking a postgraduate diploma or I think it should say most postgraduate diploma or master's program here at York. And again, you can talk to myself or talk to Lena and Todd and their team about which program that is specifically you would get within that master's or postgrad, those core and elective course material and curriculum within that study, and then you just enter at the capstone level. The common final exam, it's a 3-day exam. I don't want to scare anybody, but it is, a very comprehensive exam where you're going to be putting all of your technical and enabling competencies to the test. And this is where you're going to show at first, what was I really, really great at? I'm going to choose financial reporting or management accounting and really apply my in-depth knowledge there. The next, you're going to choose assurance, finance, taxation, or performance management, something that you were really good at, to show that you have some understanding in another technical competency. And then of course, if you're going to be a CPA, you do need to be able to speak to at least a little bit, of all of the 6 technical competencies. So you'll show a little bit of breadth understanding of them during the CFE. The nice thing about the final exam is that the 4-hour case that you're going to work on day 1, it's actually linked to the exact case you worked on in the capstone. So it'll be the same business, it'll be the same case, but it'll be a few extra details, maybe a change in the market, maybe some sort of change to the business or that new information. So you'll already have that understanding ready just to build upon. So it'll be really nothing new as a good exam would do. And we have all kinds of mechanisms in place to support you along the way. So most people are really intimidated by the exam. The pass rate, there are 3 chances you get to write it. After the 3 chances, we have about a 95% pass rate. So we want to set you up for success. We have mechanisms in place. And, if you are at the final exam stages, well, that's because you passed your test for the core 1 and you passed your test for core 2 and so on and so forth. So you've already shown that you're capable and competent along the way. And so this is why you really shouldn't fear the exam. But I just want to touch on it briefly to let you know the kind of stuff that you'll be tested on. Okay, so here's our big competency map. This is what a CPA looks like. If you cut them open inside, you'll see that they have their 6 technical competencies: financial reporting, management accountant, strategy and governance, taxation, finance, audit, insurance. All that stuff is great, but what are you going to do with that? So when you're in that, when I think back to that example of Wendy at my company, I thought, okay, sure, she's an accountant, she's got all of this information, but I wasn't expecting her to be sitting in that boardroom explaining, persuading, really driving that change forward in the business, because, not only did she have that accounting and financial skills, but she was a trusted and versatile business professional and advisor, because she graduated, left the CPA program with these enabling competencies: professionalism, ethical behavior, problem-solving, decision-making, communication, self-management, teamwork, and leadership. And during your CPA journey, those enabling competencies are what your mentor is really going to focus on, and I'll get to that in just a minute. So the practical experience portion that I mentioned, it is 30 months of full-time paid qualifying experience. So this does not include internships, does not include part-time work. In some cases, it can include co-op, but I don't think it's really applicable to the audience here. And during your time of practical experience, we want to see that you've got a core depth, breadth, and progression. What that essentially means is, during your time in a particular role, you're going to show how you have been really great at a couple of those technical competencies. You've also shown that you've been really good at a few others, and of course have touched on all 6 technical competencies in breadth. But the most important part is that you're going to have to show progression during that 30 months. So not everyone, of course, is going to get hired as a controller for a VP finance for a company without their CPA designation. You're going to start as a bookkeeper or a junior accountant, and during your time, you're going to go from just basic data entry and basic business functions to showing a bit more of like, oh, I can explain to people what these numbers are really meaning, and then really put some more in-depth analysis to it during your time. So that's what the progression piece looks like. Again, you don't need to worry or panic about that. Within the employment routes that I'll talk about in a minute, we have those mechanisms built in for tracking and reporting, and with the mentorship to make sure that that is taking place. So there are 2 routes to achieving your practical experience: the pre-approved program route and the experience verification route. So we have over 800 companies that are currently listed in the pre-approved program route. And what that means is these companies, all of the work experience you would do with them is already pre-qualified. So it's already verified. We have the companies know exactly what is required of you during that 3 month. They know the core depth and progression. They know they'll have a CPA mentor for you on site. And the benefits to this one is that, they'll give you a little bit of everything to learn. So it's a bit of a cookie cutter role, but it's very, very simple when you come into, you know what you're getting. They have a mentor in place, they walk through the program, and then you can decide what you want to do from there. Now, the experience verification route, there's a bit of a misconception that somehow if I don't get into the Big Four, or if I'm not in public practice, that I'm at a disadvantage. That's definitely not the case. You might be surprised to know that the majority, well over half of the CPAs have taken the experience verification route. And the reason for that is that you get a chance to specialize in what really interests you. So if you really want to work for Coca-Cola, and they do a lot of assurance type work, well then you can take the experience verification route. I was talking to a student recently who again was really big into sustainability. They were able to find a connection through a company that builds those wind turbines, and so they were able to connect with CPA and say, yeah, what I'll be doing with them will meet the experience verification criteria. So she's off now working for that company. It's something she's passionate and interested in. It's going to be a launchpad for her career, and it's all part of the experience verification route. A lot of you in the audience right now may actually be currently working full-time, maybe in accounting or commerce type role. Chances are that can be an experience you can continue working in. Some employers will even, will be really, really excited that you're becoming a CPA. And so we'd encourage you once you've started the journey and registered with us, put it on your LinkedIn, put it on your CV, shout it from the mountaintops. I am Sean Mullin. I am getting my CPA designation, or I'm currently getting my CPA designation. Employers are really, really attracted to that, and they'll be likely to take you on knowing that you're doing the CPA role. In some cases, mostly in the PPR route, though, they will actually pay for you to take your CPA designation. So if you're in a position to do that, it doesn't hurt to ask. But again, there's pros and cons to both, and what I would suggest you do, particularly if you have the options, really think about what culture is going to be the work culture for you. We're talking about the Big Four: Deloitte, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Ernst & Young, KPMG. They have very, very different work cultures. Are you someone that's really going to thrive in a smaller kind of company? Are you someone that wants to be, more in that really well-established organization? You have the flexibility to choose, but both routes are there. If you're currently working and you want to know, does my current experience qualify? If you search CPA Ontario Experience Verification Self-Assessment Tool, or of course, you can just email me afterwards. I'll point you in the right direction. We do have a self-assessment tool online where it allows you to kind of see, is my current role going to be verified? In terms of mentors, you're going to have a mentor with you for that entire journey to support you, especially with those enabling competencies and goal setting, and make sure you're on track. And so if you go the pre-approved route, they'll have a CPA mentor in-house walking through that process. The experience verification route allows you to find your own mentor. So if, this could be anyone that that it doesn't have to be someone that works for the company at all. That's a common misconception. And once you're registered with us as a student, there are tools to find mentors. We will help you with that as well. As a CPA student, just a couple of other benefits to mention. You will get career coaching along the way. You'll get access to our CPA Ontario Talent Job Board, access to our career development events, workshops, and webinars. And if you want to get involved with CPA Ontario, I would encourage you to join us as a post-secondary ambassador. I'll tell you about that in just a minute. We got lots of CPA events on campus, and that includes me giving information sessions just like this in person. We do workshops, soft skills, different clubs around the and career fairs we sponsor. We have a presence at. We bring CPAs to those, so you can actually speak to CPAs, learn about their stories. So if you want information about that, go again to that chat box, and you'll see the link for registering, and we'll give you some time to do that after the end of the slide. That's how we want you to keep connect with us. Complete a self-assessment. There's a link there. Find out if you're, where you are in the journey, what kind of course you need to pick up. And again, when you're ready, don't submit your transcripts now, but if you're unsure about when that timing is right in your final year, you'll want to connect with us or with Lena and Todd and their team about when the right time to submit transcripts are. So the post-secondary ambassador program, this is a great way to connect with us. It only costs $10 a year, and there are incredible benefits that come with it. We have a Map to Success mentorship program. This is where you have a chance to win a mentorship for a year with the CPA. They'll meet with you to talk about resume building, mock interviews, soft skill workshops, all of that great stuff. Access to our newsletters. We got a webinar series. We have even far more benefits in this that are going to be rolled out in the new launch in August. So If you want to take a screen capture of that and join the PSAP program, it's a fantastic. We have our CPA owned Charter for Finance conference and there's a leadership conference and competition as well. So really all kinds of value that you're getting, so that when you're on your journey to become a CPA, you're already connecting, you're already networking, you already have some skin in the game, and you're going to be really set up for success. So I really can't stress that the value of this enough, and you'll see me pushing it every time I'm speaking at an event around is our PSAP mentorship program. Stay connected with us at CPA, and here is my contact information. I'm going to turn it back over to Todd in just a second, and my contact information will be available on his slide. If you, because of CASEL compliance, if you do want to speak to me and you do want to email me and have a one-on-one advisement session, we do need you to register, again, with this link right here. So as I turn it over to Todd, who's going to finish things up when we get to questions, it really just helps us to capture, even if you don't want CPA to send us any emails, but you did find that this presentation was valuable. My superiors allow me to come here because people register with us to say, yes, I was at this webinar, or we do want to hear from CPA, and all of those things. So if you just click in the chat box, you'll see that link is active, and I would really, really appreciate if you would take the time to do that. And I'll turn it over to Todd now, and we'll get to questions shortly.
Thanks, John. So there has been a lot of information shared, which is fantastic. I thought it'd be useful to give me, sorry, 1 second, I'm just updating my screen. Sorry, give me a second, just get back to where I left off. Okay, so I thought it'd be really useful just to show this little quick snapshot of the process again, because like I said, lots of information has been shared. But just so you know, the process to become a CPA starts off with taking academic courses. We listed our 2 programs here, the postgraduate certificate in accounting, and then the postgraduate certificate in advanced accounting. And once you've finished your coursework, as Sean mentioned, then you can sort of move on to the PEP modules and the common final exam, including obviously all the work experience that's required for you to meet their requirements. So again, just a little visual to help you see the steps to earn your membership in CPA. So I'll take 30 seconds and just give you a sense of our application process to register in our courses. So there's the website, www.continue.yorku.ca. Basically, if you go to our programs and you click on the enroll button, you will then get to the actual programs you can enroll in. There's an apply button, which obviously will get you to the details of entering information and all the required materials. Just take note that there is a different process for international students versus domestic students. So I just pointed a little arrow there to just make sure you apply for the right program. And I think that's the end of the actual presentation part. So we're happy to open it up for some questions. There have been some questions that have been posted already, so we'll start answering them. But let me first just say, if people do need to jump off, that's fine. But we certainly appreciate you taking the time to learn more about our programs. And hopefully you've gotten lots of information out of this session, and you'll consider joining York as a starting point to get your CPA requirements met. So again, there's our website, there's our phone number, our email, there's obviously all of Sean's email, there's that link again if you need that to write it down.